This is Change the Brain, conversations without limitations.
Welcome to Around the Mic with Sir Charles. You'll hear this broadcast either on the podcast, Around the Mic, or on my social media page, Change the Brain, Conversations Without Limitations. You know, it's not just about me, so you'll hear information from different speakers, trainers, coaches, and authors, all for you. So get your pad, your note paper, if possible, so that you can take copious notes on how you can also become better, the best version of you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Sir Charles Carey, and I have a fantastic, over-the-top, excited show for you today. I have none other than the infamous, the famous, the all that in the bag of chips lady, Cheryl Wood. Cheryl, how are you?
Sir Charles, you know that's always forever going to be your name for me. Sir Charles. You're not just Charles Carey, you're Sir Charles. I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you so much. It's so funny because, you know, you're always doing so much. If you're not on the road, you're tearing it up locally. And it's like, I'm like, oh man, poor kids. But then again, sometimes the kids there, sometimes the kids ain't there. I see your husband every now and then. I'm like, how do you balance it all? Good. In fact, you know what? That's a good question. How do you balance it all, being so busy, your personal and your business, you know, and then even you time? How does that work?
Well, I think the first thing is just acknowledging for myself. I acknowledge that balance is like so unrealistic. Like I'm never gonna balance it all perfectly, but there will be times when honestly my family is the top priority and they get 100% of me. And then there are other times where they have to take a back seat and the business is a priority and the business gets 100% of me. So I think my commitment is always to two things. Number one, making sure I give the best of me to whatever I'm doing in that moment. And number two, making sure that I create some level of harmony in between my household, my life, and what I do for the world. So when I say harmony, meaning I have to make sure I keep, you know, I know the pulse of what's happening in my household and the pulse of what's happening in my business. So if I feel the pulse of the household and the marriage is a little weak, then I might have to say no to doing some things. I might have to say no to that networking event that I really wanted to go to, but I know that I need to be home. So it's just really just keeping a gauge on what the pulse is and moving with intention in whichever space I need to be in. That's typically what I try to do. And another thing I'll say especially for marriage, because I know a lot of people who are challenged with or struggle with nurturing marriage as they're growing a business and building their dream is communication.
Wow.
That has become the most powerful thing in me being able to do both. Because I didn't used to communicate as well with my husband as I do now. And I would kind of tell him about some event I was going to go speak at the last minute.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I'm flying somewhere, which means I'm gonna be gone for 2 or 3 days. Right. And I told him the week of, and that just didn't work. So now I say, hey, babe, can we sit down and look at my calendar? And months in advance, literally months, nice. I'm like, this date, you know, these dates I'm here. These dates I'm here. In fact, on this one, I'd love for you and the kids to come with me. On this date, I'm going to be here, but I'll be right back the same day. So it is really that open communication that is, I would say, like the lifeline of the marriage, the family flow, and me being able to be successful in both. And really understanding that I do not want to be a public success, but a private failure. Yeah. So I have to pay attention to both, not one or the other.
And you know, that is so real, talking about being a public success and a private failure, because, you know, it's funny. In fact, I wanted to write about the fact that there's so many people, celebrity status, financial success status, and, you know, and they have these shortcomings and they have these flaws, but yeah, well, they should, because they're human. But at the same time, we in the general public, we look at them and we think they got it going on. Don't nothing ever go wrong.
Yeah.
It must be great to be them. And probably, you know, at some point in the year it is, but
right.
It be like that all the time, you know?
That's right. Not all the time. I mean, as you know, I consider myself to be successful, considering where I came from and where I am and what's happening in my life and my business. Absolutely. I would say success. However, that success costs a price. It
Right.
is not free. It is not easy. It is not convenient. And
Mm.
so there are things that both of us as successful individuals, there are things that we give up that other people don't want to give up. There are distractions that we have to consistently avoid, and be very intentional about avoiding. There are relationships that unfortunately we have to pull ourselves away from because they're toxic and they don't support where we're
Yes.
going. So
Oh,
there's a lot
absolutely.
that comes with being successful, as you said, and then our own flaws. Some of
Yeah.
us, I know I work with a lot of clients, and one of the key things that you have to succeed in business is visibility, right?
Hmm.
And you'll hear me say constantly, visibility will always trump ability.
Hmm.
Visibility is what gets your foot in the door, and then your
Yes.
ability keeps your foot there, right? But I work with clients who are extremely introverted.
Right.
Well, to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to have visibility. You have to become an extrovert, even when you are naturally an introvert. So you
Yeah.
could see that as a flaw. Or maybe you really don't consider yourself a people person. That could be considered a
Yes.
flaw because you got to work with people and network and build relationships. So yeah, everything that you see on the outside, there's a story behind it.
Yep.
And all of us are, as you mentioned, are fighting our own flaws, our own imperfections, distractions, and things that could pull us away from what we know is our purpose.
No, it's funny. You said two things. You talked about being an introvert or just not a people person. And at my core, I'm an introvert, but it's weird to say that because I grew up as a musician, singing and performing, and because all my family
Mm.
did. So I thought as a child, I was supposed to, or that I would just get my turn. And, I was still shy and sometimes shaking in my boots, but I knew that it was something longing into me to get out. And what I did was I just fought it and I let it get out. And
Yeah.
I loved it because I felt that that was part of my identity, and it was. And another thing you said, and it's so funny because I was with Del Toro recently at the Full
Yeah.
Throttle Experience, and he talked about not him personally, but him as well as some of the other presenters spoke about intentionally doing things, having a mindset of intention. And that is so, so huge. In fact, that word was just haunting me on the plane ride back to DC. And I was like, yeah, you have to do what you have to do with the spirit, with the mind, with a position of intention so that it gets done and so that it's
Yeah.
felt. So that's really a strong word. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. How long you been in the business now?
Oh my God. So I started as an entrepreneur, kind of like officially in 2009, because I had a t-shirt business before I ever, branched into speaking. And
Right.
then officially at the top of 2011, I started my speaking career. So for the past 8 years, I've been on this speaker journey and I love it.
Wow, that is fantastic. Um, Now, another thing, like I said, in the top of the program, I see you on social media. Either you're in the airport, you're in another country, you're in a beach, you're wherever. So, how many countries have you gone to?
Oh, let's see. So I just got back from France, did my first international women's conference, which was amazing.
That's great.
It pushed me into something that was unfamiliar and uncomfortable. I've
Hmm.
hosted lots of women's conferences, but never in a place that, number one, I had never visited, and I didn't speak the native language. So that was huge
That
for
had
us
to
to
be
have
interesting.
100 women who showed up for that event, including women who traveled from the US. And we had Parisian business owners, women who were there who couldn't even speak the language, couldn't even speak English, and stayed for the entire event. And through a translator, were
I was
able
going
to,
to ask you. Yeah.
yeah, we had a translator there, and the translator was able to express to us why they stayed for, it was an 8 hour day, an 8 hour conference. They stayed for the entire conference. And the feedback was that they could feel the love, the
Mm,
passion, the energy is what kept them there that was in that room. And that's what happens, I think, when you get a room full of people who are intentional about what they're doing, who love what they're doing, and believe that they're truly walking in their purpose. So
wow.
that was huge. That just happened a couple months ago. And then last year I got to travel to South Africa. Oh my
Right.
God. That almost makes me break out into tears
Uh-huh.
because I remember, and this was probably, I'm gonna say somewhere around 2011, 2012, right? 2012. I remember putting a post on Facebook,
Mhm.
and I was looking out the window. I was on a plane. I was in the coach section, and I was looking out, and I took a picture And I posted it on Facebook and said, one day, this is going to be me on a private jet, and I'll be traveling to some part of Africa that I probably cannot pronounce. Now, even though when I went to Africa last year, I didn't have my own private jet, that's coming. Right. But I was traveling to Africa. So it was like I had spoke into existence 5-6 years before that, the very thing that was happening in that moment last year.
Powerful.
Oh my God. It was amazing. I got to go to a local university there and pour into the lives of about 50 young college girls. And when I tell you they were hungry, like they were fired up. They were clamoring to get to me afterwards and were asking me to sign their t-shirts, sign their arm, like whatever I could sign. Nice. And it was amazing. So we had Paris, France a few months ago. We had South Africa last year. And then the year before that, I was in India, which was also powerful because if you know anything about the Indian culture, women are oftentimes taught to be quiet, right? Seen but not heard. So to be able to go into this women's economic forum and this platform and to share the importance of us as women sharing our stories and our truth was very, very powerful. And then that same year, I also was able to visit the United Kingdom, and the year before, the Bahamas. So, it's racking up. I'm getting some countries on my belt.
What's up? That's what's up. It's so funny that you said that. As soon as you said it, I had a book title for you, and I think it's something like Silence with a Roar, My Trips Abroad and Beyond.
Come on now, like Sir Charles.
I'm serious.
Let me write that down.
Write it down. I'm serious. This is for you. It's not for anybody else. And the reason why is because I know that when you first started out with the t-shirt business, I believe it was for women, right?
Promoting or supporting. For mothers. It was called, right? Moms Are the Best.
Okay, so moms, right? So you think about something for moms. You think about all the women that adore you, that follow you, that are in your tribe. You think about literally being placed in a country where women don't have a voice, or it's not recommended that they have a voice.
Yes.
What a good subject or topic to write to, speak to, present to. And now with Me Too, stop playing.
Yes.
It is over.
I love it. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just see it, Cheryl, but I'm sorry. That should have been a private moment, but hey.
No, I love that. And you know what? That's the beauty of being so closely connected with other brilliant minds.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter how brilliant you are as an individual, there's always someone who can see something greater for you than you see for yourself before it happens for you. So we can all visualize and we talk about visualization exercises, but then there are people who will look at you externally and will see things like, oh my God, I see this for you. I've had people who have spoken over my life, into my life, and spoken to things that are happening now 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So I received that. And I think that's why, for me, I always emphasize the importance of having a strong community, not trying to do the success thing by yourself. You need to be around other brilliant people who are willing to celebrate you and also accelerate you by sharing their thoughts and their ideas like you just did. So I think that was such a great example.
Look, if we realize, because I realize it, and I'm human too, there's times when I was like, feeling shunned about someone or at a certain phase in my speaking career, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is that I believe that there is enough for all of us. And I also believe that because you have a gift doesn't mean you should hoard the gift. And sometimes if you see something, it's just like telling someone, hey man, your shirt isn't tucked in. Well, why not tell them that? What is it going to hurt you to tell someone something that benefits them? You would want someone to tell you, hey, Sir Charles, why don't you try this?
Yes.
Why not? So let me ask you this. Do you meditate or,
Yes, that's critical. I mean, even when my schedule is crazy busy, that part of it, the meditation, is so important, and the quiet time is so valuable so that I can gain clarity about what's next. So now here's the thing. For me, I don't specify, I don't say, well, it has to be every morning at 5 a.m. because this morning at 5 a.m. might be somewhere else, or I might be on a plane, so I don't dictate it. I'm not rigid. I'm very flexible about when. So for instance, last week, I traveled and I was by myself. Well, guess what? I had a lot of quiet time in my hotel room. It was the perfect time for me to meditate on what's next, get clear about my vision that I'm rolling out at SpeakerCon later this year. Like, it was exactly what I needed. I didn't have my husband with me. I didn't have my kids with me. It was just me and the room, and it was dead silent. I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
I am very flexible about when I get it in, but it's definitely a mandatory part of my journey.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's undervalued, underrated, quiet, the whole setting of tranquility. I speak about it a lot because there are times when the universe is speaking with me, God is talking to me, and I may appear to be in a stupor, but trust me, I'm not even there. I'm wherever I'm at, and I'm receiving, I'm exchanging. And I think that it's another way of recharging your battery, recalibrating yourself so that you can really get more mileage out of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. So that takes me to
and you know what? Let me piggyback on that. That's so important too, because we're in such a noisy marketplace.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, you're looking at what everybody else is doing on social media, and then you're looking at what people are doing. Oh, well, she's doing this and he's doing that, and now he's there and now she's there. And sometimes you can become so consumed with the noise of what's going on, not to mention what people are telling you should be doing.
Right.
Oh, you should sign up for this, and you should do this, and you should go here, and you should go there. That sometimes you can get so overwhelmed. And that quiet time allows you, like you said, to recalibrate, to re-energize, and most importantly, to get refocused on what you should be doing. Yeah. Because just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean you should be doing it.
Exactly. I tell the story a lot of times how I got this brand new TV, 4K, and all that. And it's sitting right there in the living room. I come home every day and I don't turn it on because it's a major distraction. If anything, it becomes my reward after the work is done. Then I can watch some Netflix or whatever the case may be.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
But let me ask you this. Now, how well versed are you with technology? Because now that I think we're in two eras. We're in the era of technology and we're in the era of convenience. How well versed are you with technology?
Okay. So I always admit that I am not a tech guru by any means.
Really?
However, going back to that word intentional, I'm intentional about making sure that I don't become the dinosaur in the room. So oftentimes entrepreneurs, we stick with what we know. Oh, I'm great at that. So I'm going to keep doing that because I'm great at that. And then we miss out because we don't stay current with what's relevant and what's happening right now. And so in my thought process, it's always, Cheryl, you never want to be the dinosaur. I'll never forget, I was working for a large communications and travel company. And one of the people, and this person was very smart, genius guy. He was on the board of directors. Just phenomenal brain. This joker was still using WordPerfect.
What? Stop playing.
And I was just like, how do you have that much brilliance, but you're not brilliant enough to keep up with technology?
Right.
Like, do you understand that everybody around you, so everybody around him, everybody else felt like he didn't know what he was talking about, that he wasn't relevant, that he didn't really have any real value to add to the conversations simply because of that one piece, that he wasn't current with technology. I will never forget this guy. And because of that, I always promise myself, Cheryl, you will never, as an entrepreneur, you will never be the dinosaur in the room. So I might not be 100% the person who's tech savvy, but I'm going to know what you're using. I'm going to know what's happening, and I'm going to make sure that I upgrade my equipment or my devices or my software, whatever it is, so that I'm at least relevant. And then if I can't learn it, I'm going to hire somebody who can make sure that I'm at least in that path of relevancy based on, as you mentioned, current technology. So ironically that you asked me that question, because I just hired somebody literally yesterday to be able to do some things for me digitally in the digital space because I don't have the know-all. Right. So just because you don't know it ain't an excuse not to do it.
Right. Yeah,
you need to know it, or you hire somebody who knows it.
Yeah, I outsource like the obvious stuff for the books and all the fulfillment stuff, but I find it kind of challenging to outsource for social media because it's like a book editor needs to know your voice. Of course they won't know it day one, but after a few chapters or whatever the case may be, they should know your voice as they're editing. And then if they have future projects, they should definitely know your voice. And I think it's similar with social media. I mean, would Charles really say that? Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm considering hiring some contractors for some things that I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think you have to know what you're challenged with. So for me, social media is not an issue. You know, I can be at a stoplight and I can bust out a powerful social media post that gets 200 likes,
Right.
Because it might just the thought, the idea, whatever it is I want to express might come to me right then and there. And I'm like, and I type so fast. I used to be a legal secretary by trade.
Right.
So, you know, being fast and efficient is my thing.
Okay.
So bam, I bust it out. I'm going on about my business. I come back later, I got 200 likes and 25, 35 comments, whatever it might be. So that's not my challenge. For me, my challenge is I've always been a manual type of person. So as a legal secretary working for senior level people, everything was manual. We weren't this advanced with technology. So if we were to schedule something, it was on a manual calendar. If we were whatever we were gonna do, we talked to people face to face, right? But now we're in this digital space.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, Cheryl, why are you still doing things manually that could be automated? So for me, it's automating the knowledge that I have. I'm sitting on all this knowledge, but most times I'm delivering it like this.
Right.
I'm delivering it through a virtual training program where I'm live and I have to be present to deliver it.
Yeah.
So now it doesn't make sense to do it that way. It makes sense to give people an option. You can come and be a part of this live event, which is going to be a higher premium, or you can get access to this content through a pre-recorded something that's available digitally that you can sign up for even while I'm sleeping so that I'm generating more revenue and touching more lives. So for me, that's the space that I'm in now. I want to dominate not only on stage, but I want to dominate in the digital space.
So that takes me to my next question. Like under the umbrella of Cheryl Wood, products and services, what do you have out there?
Oh my gosh.
I know you got the conference.
So of course I teach. Yeah, so of course I teach speaking. So I'm calling myself America's #1 developer of women speakers. That is my niche, it's my space, it's my gift, and ain't nothing nobody can do about it, right? And for a long time it took me so much courage to say that, because I felt when I said that it was almost like me comparing myself to the gurus who are already in the industry.
I understand.
And I felt like, well, who am I to say that I am this? But really the question becomes, who am I not to say that I am this?
That's right.
I was put here with a gift. I didn't give it to myself. It was given to me. And it's my job and my responsibility to use it to its maximum capacity for as long as I have life and breath in my body. And with that, I stopped diminishing my gift. I stopped comparing it to anybody else. I stopped worrying about what anybody else is going to think or say. And I just own the gift. So I do a virtual training course where I teach new and emerging and aspiring women speakers how to really powerfully develop their voice, their story, mastering the stage, being able to really create connectivity and engagement so that people, if they're doing a speak to sell opportunity, they're running to the back of the room to sign up for the package. Just making sure that anytime they're using their voice, there's such an impact left that the person is never the same. So I do that. And then I have boot camp events that I do where it's a one day where people come in and I do something very similar, speaker training. And at SpeakerCon, I'll be rolling out something brand new that I'm so excited about, which I won't even, spill the beans yet, but I'm so excited about this. And it's still along the same lines of developing new and emerging and aspiring women speakers. So that's really my lane. Outside of that, of course, I'm speaking on stages all across the world, if you will. Yep. And I even do VIP days with people. So I have people who fly in or I fly to them, and some of them want to write their first book. Well, I've written 10 book projects. I've done 10 book projects. So I know how to walk them through the process of writing their book, mapping out what the chapters are going to be, what's going to be the content in it, how are we going to promote it and market it, all those things. So I teach on that. And I also do a training session where I teach people how to host and maximize their conferences.
Nice.
So it's something that I do well. Most of my conferences are sold out. I can't think of one that hasn't been sold out. And so I take that knowledge and I also put that into a platform that I can teach other people. So it's just using everything that I do well, staying in my lane of brilliance, not going outside of that, and just playing in that lane so that I can give my customers and my clients the best of me.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Which takes me to, what's your core message? You know, usually whether it's a keynote, a breakout, or when you're on whatever platform, what's your core message?
Wow. So people hire me for different things.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I'm hired for, number one, is as a motivator. And I love that.
Yeah.
I know some speakers who shun the whole motivational thing. Look, I'm motivational as heck. I can get you fired up, pumped up, turned up, whatever you want to be.
Right.
I just have I have that type of energy. So
You
I
do.
don't run from that. And I love making people feel like they can do it. I love making people believe that whatever they're dreaming of can actually become a reality. Now, of course, anytime you're motivated, you have to stay motivated. So there's
Yes.
work that they have to do after that, and that's fine. But some people, they haven't heard a good word in such a long time, or maybe they've fallen into this place where they're plateaued, or doubt is
Mm.
louder than their voice of reason that they actually can accomplish it, and they need that motivational presentation. So sometimes companies or corporations will hire me to come in as an opening keynoter to get the audience motivated about what they're going to learn for that week, if it's a training course, or for that day. Sometimes I'm booked as a closing keynote speaker to get them fired up about what they're going to do after. Now that they've gotten all this content, what are they going to do with it? How are they going to execute? And then sometimes I get hired for women's empowerment events, again, coming in and empowering them, really getting them to think outside the box, to be willing to take bigger risks, to be willing to step outside their comfort zone, to really raise the bar on their own expectations of what they can do by sharing my own story.
Right.
And then I'd say the fourth piece of that is sometimes I get booked to come in and really specifically teach people about the dynamics of either entrepreneurship or monetizing speaking. So it really is in that realm. It's motivation, it's empowerment and entrepreneurship, and speaking.
Okay. So now, I don't know if I'm saying this right. Playtime is over. You've been known for Playtime is over for, I don't know how long. Is that still a current theme that you use?
It's so funny. This is what I'm gonna say to you, but I tell a lot of people: playtime is over. Is over.
Okay, I got you. So we're on a whole nother level.
Look, people do still ask me about it. I love when people still come to me and are like, playtime is over. Like I don't shun the expression, but it was connected to a conference that I hosted for 4 years. And my thought, Sir Charles, is you have to keep reinventing. You cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect people to stay excited about that thing. That's just my belief. Not only for them, but even for me, because I want to stay fired up and excited about what I'm doing and what I'm presenting in the marketplace and making sure that I'm staying relevant. So Playtime is Over was a beautiful movement that was primarily a conference, an annual conference that I did for 4 years. And now this year, I decided again through that quiet time and meditation that it was time to create a shift. It was time for something bigger. It was time for me to challenge me, as well as to really play in my lane of brilliance and dominate in my lane of brilliance even more. And that's why SpeakerCon has been birthed.
Nice. That's fantastic. And, you know, it makes a lot of sense because as you grow, as you evolve, there's going to be new things, new ways of doing it, different experiences incorporated in it. And for those that follow you, whoever your tribe is, they need to go on the journey with you. Simply. Yeah.
And again, it's for me, it's really, it's stepping up and owning my brilliance to say, I'm going to be the first to host this first of its kind convention. There's a convention for everything. There's a Cookie Con, for God's sake, right? There's Comic Con, there's a T-Con, there's a con for everything. And my team and I did all this research and we're like, are you kidding me? There's no convention specifically geared to public speakers. I'm like, I gotta do this. Like, if I'm saying this is my lane of brilliance, why wouldn't I? And that's where you come into the whole space of fear trying to talk you out of doing it because you've never done it before. Because it's like, oh, who are you to say you're the first to do it? Who are you to dare to be that person, right? And you gotta come back and say, who am I not to? And with that, I just made the decision. Yeah.
Don't forget ChakaCon. Okay, so okay, so look, let me ask you this because you've got a lot of things, a lot of innovative things that are going on. People love you. I mean, again, you're international. I mean, you're just doing the daggone thing. So what is your next, not to put aside your upcoming event, because I know about that, we're going to talk about that, but what's your Oprah like endeavor going to be? Because
Oh,
I know
that's
you talked
good.
about the jet, and that's what's up. But have you gone that far yet?
That's a good question. I don't have to sit and think about that.
Okay.
I just know for me, it's an ongoing, it is a journey, right? So a journey is ongoing. It's not like,
Yes.
oh, I've gotten to this place and I'm done. And, I don't know if look, for such a long time, I never thought I'd be here.
Right.
I mean, like I wanted it, but in the back of my mind, it's like, will that ever happen? And I think sometimes as business owners, we're working towards something, but we assume that we're always going to be trying to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get there and you really do have to sit back and reflect on, what do I want to do next? So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in that space outside of SpeakerCon and some of the things I'll be rolling out at SpeakerCon, in discovering and being willing to explore and open myself up to what's next. So I don't think I have a perfect answer to that, except
That's
to
okay.
say I'm open. Yeah.
I'm sure when it comes out, everybody better buckle up and be prepared. So can you talk a little bit more about SpeakerCon without giving away anything that you don't want to give away? Can you talk about that? Because that's what's coming next, right?
Yes. So SpeakerCon is being hosted in November 1st and 2nd. And it is the first of its kind and our inaugural convention, conference, and awards gala specifically for public speakers and verbal communication experts. So people who are activists and advocates and radio personalities and broadcasters, anybody who is in the realm of using the power of their voice to impact lives and transform lives. With of course, a special emphasis on people who take the stage and are public speakers. And it is a space for us to convene. It's a space for us to connect. Look, doctors go to doctor conferences, right?
Right.
Lawyers go to lawyer conferences.
That's
So
right.
watching speakers come into a space where they can be together collectively and celebrate each other, gain access to education. We'll have a trade show expo portion on that Saturday, which will give people access to resources specifically designed to support public speakers. And then we'll celebrate people who are soaring in the space of public speaking at the awards gala on that Saturday evening. So it's just a combination of kind of connection, growth and education, and celebration, all in that one space. And then we are fired up. I was so nervous when I announced it. I did not realize how much there was a need for it. Like you mentioned earlier, sometimes God will download something to you,
Yes.
and God is just waiting on you to take action, and you sitting on it because you're scared.
Yeah.
And then you finally take action and you realize how needed it is in the marketplace. And I think that's what happened for us. We've sold out of the elite tickets. We've sold out of the VIP tickets. We're down to our last little group of general admission tickets, and we will be sold out. And we're 4 months out from the
I was going to say, how many? You may have to add a date.
It's great. It's mind blowing, but it's also confirmation of what can happen. Number one, when you listen, and you're willing to let what's supposed to be downloaded, and number two, you're willing to face something that really scares you, but it can grow you. And that's really what SpeakerCon has become, something that scared me, but is growing me. And we already know we're going to have to move the venue for next year. Like, we already know, and we haven't even hosted the conference yet, simply because of the response.
That is crazy. That is a good crazy. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, look, this has been great, man. I can't wait for the feedback that people have, because, I mean, this is just inspiring. This is what it's all about. I know there's been so many times for myself that I've had a first thought, or I felt that God was speaking to me, and I kind of brushed it off. And then it's like, hold up, that's that same thought I get every time when fill in the blank.
Yes.
And so, you know what? We need to learn how to start paying attention to that inner voice.
Yes.
Because it's telling us what we need.
Yeah.
Man.
And to run towards it, really run towards the fear instead of running away from your fear of that thing. You learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about what you're capable of when you run towards the thing that scares you versus away from the thing that scares you.
That's what's up. Now, look, folks, I'm letting you know right now, we can't guarantee that there are going to be tickets, but Cheryl's going to share how you can get tickets to SpeakerCon, as well as how you can contact her. Go, Cheryl.
All right, so you want tickets to SpeakerCon, you're going to go to speakercon2019.com, speakercon2019.com, and you can get all the details there about your hotel, about, what the location. Our celebrity, I should have said that, our celebrity speaker for the awards gala is going to be none other than TV reality star Kenya Moore. who has just experienced so much change in her life, and is sharing her voice about some of the things she's experienced in life as it relates to having the birth of her daughter, marriage, growth through the program that she's been a part of on television. So we're super excited about that, as well as the host of amazing speakers who are going to be there. And then for connecting with me personally, you can find me all across social media at Cheryl Empowers, because that's what I do. I empower people to get up off their butts, to get into action, and to really be so intentional about pursuing the thing that you know you were born to do. Like, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world to do that, as long as you have life and breath in your body.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule. This is phenomenal. Glad we had a chance to chop it up. And of course, at the conference, it's my birthday, November 1st. So I'm looking forward to it anyway. So look, radiate the brain and change the game, folks.
Come on.
Take care.
Now you know you should know. I know.